Hi everyone, it's Miss Sote. So a lot of you before break were asking, how do I graph a circle on my graphing calculator? And some of my classes have learned the equations for a circle in class. Some of you will be learning it in the upcoming weeks. But graphing a circle on a calculator is actually a little bit tedious. On Desmos, it's pretty easy as long as you know the equation of a circle. But on your graphing calculator, there's a few extra steps you have to take. And so for those of you who have seen the equation for a circle before, then I'm going to explain some of the steps. If you haven't yet learned the equation for a circle in my class, I recommend you go watch the Desmos tutorial for this set of calculator tutorials. I very quickly explain the equation for a circle. And so that video is only 3 minutes. So you can get that kind of background information and then come back here to help you with this process. So the problem with graphing a circle on a graphing calculator is if you go to the graphing function, which we've done time and time again, just clicking on the y equals button, you can see that all of these options start with y equals. But the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So y is not all alone on one side of the equal sign. It's combined with the x component. So unfortunately, what we have to do to graph a circle on a graphing calculator is we have to get y all alone on our equation. And so I'm going to show you all the steps required to get y all alone, and we're just going to work through it. So we're going to start with an equation of a circle. So if you look here, I just chose a random example to help us out. So our equation is x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 4. And so this is a circle that has been shifted left 2, up 3, and has a radius of the square root of 4, which is 2. But as you can see, like I said, y is not all alone. So we have to take a few steps in order to get y all alone. And so the first step we're going to do is subtract both sides by x plus 2 squared, because that'll get us closer to having this y all alone. And when we do that, we'll end up with y minus 3 squared on the left side, and now we'll have 4 minus x plus 2 squared on the right side, which is great. One step closer to getting y all alone. But we still have to do 2 more things to this side. We have to get rid of that square, and we have to get rid of that minus 3. But we have to remember the rules of PEMDAS, so we have to deal with that exponent first. And so this is where it kind of helps to remember what an exponent is and what a square root is. So the nice thing about square rooting is it's the opposite of squaring. So if you take the square root of something that has been squared, it cancels it out, and you just end up with whatever was inside. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take the square root of y minus 3 squared, and then whatever we do to the left side, we have to do to the right side. But we have to remember what happens when we take the square root of something. You have to include that little plus or minus symbol. Otherwise, you're only going to get half of a circle on your graphing calculator, which will not be the whole thing. So now that we've done that, again, square rooting is the opposite of squaring. So we end up with just y minus 3 on the left side. The rules of square roots are a little bit strict, so we actually can't simplify this right side that much. So I'm actually just going to leave it as it is. And so our very last step is to get y all by itself just by adding 3. And so when we add 3, we end up with y equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus x plus 2 squared. And this is where it's good to remember what the heck the plus or minus symbol means. And the nice thing is the name of it kind of tells you. You're either plussing, adding, or you're minusing, subtracting. So all we're going to do is break up this equation into 2 separate equations, one with a plus sign and one with a minus sign. And so we end up with 3 plus the square root of 4 minus x plus 2 squared. And then we also end up with 3 minus the square root of 4 minus x plus 2 squared. So it took a few steps to get there, but this is a very handy topic, especially if you're planning on taking the SAT or ACT. I've seen this pop up quite a few times. So now that we've done this, the last step is to just type these two equations into our graphing calculator. So let's do that. So I'm going to start with the top one. I'm going to do 3 plus the square root of 4 minus x plus 2 squared. So we're going to do y equals 3 plus. Remember, your square root symbol is in blue right here, so you have to click that second button first and then click the button. So now you've got your square root, and we're just going to type everything in the square root. So I have 4 minus parentheses x plus 2, close my parentheses, and I had to square just that section. So I'm going to use my little caret and put a 2. So you can double check, make sure everything you want is under the square root symbol. Looks good to me, so I'm going to click enter. And let's see what happens when we just graph that section. So if I just graph that section, my window's a little big right now, so I'll fix that. But as you can see, you're only getting half of the circle. So this first equation takes care of the top half of the circle, and the second equation, as you might guess, will take care of the bottom half. So I'll just change my window real quick. Perfect. There we go. Now we'll have a clearer view of that shape. And now we go back to the y equals button, and I'm going to type the exact same thing, but I'm just going to change that plus to a minus. So it's going to turn into 3 minus the square root of 4 minus x plus 2 squared. Click enter, and now when we graph, you can see it does the whole thing. I don't really know why there's a gap right there. There shouldn't be. In my TI-84 tutorial, there wasn't. So it might just be a little glitch on my calculator. It's kind of on the fritz. But that's how you graph a circle on a graphing calculator. If you have any questions about this, let me know and I will gladly answer them. Have a great day.